Welcome to Digital Asset News. To get top stories in cryptocurrency and digital assets and break them down to bite-sized pieces. Today, there's really two stories. First up, we have Raoul Pal. He is the MacroEconomist, and he has a sit-down interview, and he's talking about what he thinks about Bitcoin, how it's going to go to $1 million, and what's going to happen to the US dollar. Also, Houston, we have a problem, and that problem's name is Coinbase. We're going to take a look at Coinbase's new filings, what they're up to, and what's going on with all their shutdowns, which has happened 4 times over the last 3 months. So let's jump right in. It is Saturday, June 6th, around 3:32 Texas time, and usually takes about an hour or so to shoot the video, edit, and upload it. So this should be pretty accurate, depending on when you see it. But right now we got Bitcoin. $96.95, about $9,700, so pretty good. Ethereum's doing pretty good still, $242. I'm pretty happy with that. It stayed above the $200 mark, so I'm ecstatic. Tether on the third spot, XRP at 20 cents. Wow, 20 whole cents. Watch out. And so on and so forth. So nothing's really made any big moves. Crypto.com is up. Might even break in the top 10. Who knows? Looks like it's at number 12. It's edging its way towards Tezos, that is for sure. So nothing too spectacular. Let's jump into this interview with Raoul Pal. And I love to do these interviews or look at these interviews because it kind of gives us a snapshot of what people are doing as far as smart money and how it's being funneled into the cryptocurrency and digital asset space. So first of all, Raoul Pal, if you don't know him, he is a former hedge fund manager, retired at 36. Hey, good for him. He's the co-founder of Real Vision, a financial media company offering in-depth video interviews and research publications from the world's best investors. And I have to say, he's had some really good ones on over the last week. He had Mike Novogratz and a bunch of different people who were like top of the industry. So it was pretty good stuff. Anyhow, he's run a successful global macro hedge fund. He co-managed Goldman Sachs' hedge fund sales business in equities and equity derivatives in Europe, and helped design the BBC TV program $1 Million Traders, trading participants and investments and risk management strategy. So this guy's no slouch. He knows exactly what's going on. And he's done it for quite a long time. And remember, he is a macro economist, so it kind of looks at the big picture and also charts to kind of see where everything is going. So this is actually a great interview from Cambridge House International. And they initially started to talk to him about, what he thought about the economy, what's going on, and just the basic stuff. So we skipped all that because that was boring. And really what it comes down to is, what do you think is going on in the global economy, and how does that relate to cryptocurrency and digital assets? So first up, he's going to talk about his portfolio. And I think this was the most telling thing, especially for a traditional finance guy, of what he's invested into right now. So let's take a listen.
So at a top-down macro level, my personal portfolio is 25% gold, 25% Bitcoin, 25% cash in the bank, and 25% trading opportunities.
And is that cash US dollars?
Yeah.
It is 25% gold, 25% Bitcoin, 25% cash.
Yeah, and then within my trading opportunities, most of my bets are long bonds, long US dollars, and long gold miners, stuff like that.
So that makes sense, right? I mean, for the most part. So traditional finance guy, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to long bonds, long gold. I'm going to have US dollars, and just the basic stuff, and cash, which is interesting. And first of all, when he's talking about cash, I'm like, why cash? Why put into cash? Is that big of a thing? And when he talks about it later, it totally clicks and makes sense. But the big tell, of course, was the 25% Bitcoin. And this guy, you can just see, he's like, Bitcoin, what's going on? So, I mean, it's interesting to see that traditional finance people are coming around, especially with Raoul Pal. Anyhow, so he's going to talk about this one, and the guy's going to ask him, like, hey, what's the deal here? Why are you betting so much on Bitcoin? Because that's a very speculative asset. Are you sure that's the right bet? And he lays it out. He's like, yeah. And he also talks about the central banks and why they actually need this to happen as far as digital assets coming about.
On Bitcoin.
Because, and again, that's my liquid, available investment money, right? So that's not total net worth, because 25% total net worth is a lot, unless you happen to be very early and you've kept it all the way through. Then some people end up with huge numbers like that. Bitcoin, it's very simple. The the dollar standard is going to break the system. The dollar has eaten all of its competitors, and now it's going to eat itself by going up too high. There's almost no way of stopping it. And all the central banks have talked about it. They know it. And they know that they want to move to digital currencies and create a new way of moving currency around the system. It doesn't necessarily just involve the US at the center of it, the infrastructure at the center of it, and all the current market dynamics and structures that we have. There's a number of other things you can do when you move to that, is you can create these very efficient digital baskets. So like Libra, which is the Facebook idea. But anyway, we are moving towards a digital currency world.
And he's right. So, yeah, you can see that Raoul, he's one of those guys who's done a deep dive, and he's, taken that red pill, and he's like, okay, now I know exactly what this can do and what it all means. And he's going to really get into, just how big this opportunity is in a little bit. But it was telling that he talked about, look, the central banks, the traditional finance system, they are understanding that this has to happen. We have to move in this direction. So the next section, he's going to talk about how Bitcoin is the truth. I never understood that statement until I listened to it like 4 times. And I get it. I mean, it really does shore up all of the different shortcomings of the traditional finance system, and it makes things not only decentralized, but it makes it transparent and really opens things up to scrutiny, and that's why it is, the truth. And he really goes, pretty hard into Bitcoin. But what I like about Raoul Pal is that he says, look, this is only the first. As time moves on, there's going to be bigger things. He goes, Bitcoin could be it, but there's other things in the lurch. And we did a video yesterday, and it was an interview by London Real, and it was featuring Max Kaiser, and he pretty much just talks about how great Bitcoin is, how Bitcoin's the only thing, and that you're crazy to invest in anything. He even called Ethereum a scam, an exit scam, and of course XRP and everything else is just awful and worthless, and that Bitcoin's the only thing, and it's the one coin to rule them all. So we had a large discussion about that. Didn't get a lot of views. Didn't get as many views as I thought it would. I think some people shy away from it because they think we're just going to bash. But I felt that Max had some good points on certain aspects, and I welcome the conversation because it just deepens my understanding of the whole system. So it was I like to go that route. But with Raoul here, when he's talking about these things, he keeps an open mind, right? I mean, does anybody really 100% know that Bitcoin will be the only thing out there, or Ethereum will actually be number 2 forever, or some other one will come up? No one has no idea. I mean, nobody has a crystal ball. It just doesn't work like that. So when you keep an open mind, I think it makes you very limber and able to move into a direction as you see fit. So if you don't and become so staunch in your beliefs, you're like, nope, this is it, all. That I just think that it's just a recipe for failure, because you have to look at data points and then move in that direction. So here he's going to talk about DeFi, tokenization, smart contracts, etc. So let's take a listen.
Bitcoin acts like the gold, the collateral, the personal reserve asset that everybody needs. It's kind of the truth in the digital world, while gold is the truth in the currency world. Doesn't necessarily make Bitcoin a currency, but it makes us extraordinarily valuable store of value. And also, as that entire space grows, as we move into decentralized finance, we move into tokenization, we move into the full digital realm, Internet 3.0, well, the poster child, for at least for a while, is going to be Bitcoin. It could be Ethereum, it could be a bunch of other stuff as well, but really, it's that. And if I look at
And really, it's that. And he's right. I think that in the initial phase, it has to be Bitcoin, because everybody knows about it. So in the initial phase, I can only see Bitcoin going up. I mean, there's just no other way. Everybody knows about it. And we've had this discussion yesterday, and people say, well, it's slow and it's old. And I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is, because it's been battle tested. It's been out there forever. People trust it, and trust is a currency you cannot buy. So Bitcoin is going to be it. Now, later on in 10, 20 years, I mean, or 3, who knows? It could be the dominating factor forever, or it could fall to the wayside. I don't know. But I believe 100%, I believe pretty surely that it is going to be the first one to really pop off. Anyhow, this next part is a price prediction. So it's a little crazy. It's kind of a bombshell. Take a listen.
the chart, always start with the chart. the chart looks like it's going $1 million. And I just can't see it any other way. Now, how long does that take? Probably 5 years. Find me a single other asset that's going to give you 100x asset. Not a share price, not a junior miner that's just that nobody. Find me an asset, an entire asset class that could be 100x. There isn't one. That's why the magnitude of opportunity with Bitcoin is like nothing I've ever seen before. And it's also that whole kind of vortex of people getting into this. They start with understanding a little bit. Then they don't trust it. Then they question themselves. Then they don't know. Then they start to learn. And once you learn, you realize the more and more and more you learn about it and the ecosystem, that has basically blown your entire mind. And everyone becomes a complete groupie to it. And I've seen the greatest macro minds in the world, with the latest one being Paul Tudor Jones, who've gone, I get it. The opportunity set is bigger than anything else in the world.
And it is. It's a huge opportunity. In traditional finance, in traditional markets, I mean, if you go up 5 to 8% in a year, maybe 10%, you're like, this is an awesome year. I can't believe it. And in cryptocurrency, if you don't go up 10% in like a couple of days, you're like, what the hell's going on? So it is one of those opportunities that's going to happen. And I think that he's totally spot on, especially when he talks about all these big macro minds getting into it and just finally kind of realizing it. We see it all around us. We see it in Grayscale. He talked about Paul Tudor Jones, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity Digital Assets. I mean, everybody's getting into it. And you see a lot of hedge funds and a lot of institutional investors coming in. They are gobbling up the space because they're like, we got to get in this now before it 10x, 50x, 100x. And speaking of which, now we're going to get into the part of, as all these people come in, he talks about how faith is going to lead to mass adoption.
So it makes it extremely hard as an asset. And it's just about faith. And I think at $10,000 a Bitcoin and a market cap of 200 billion, we're pretty close to saying, okay, there's enough people that have faith and adoption in this. The next phase is, where does it go from here? And speaking to many of the big family offices, investment funds, everybody else, basically the entire world is short the upside of this. If Bitcoin goes up to 20,000, the next skeptic's going to go, Christ, okay, I get it, I need to get in. If it goes up to 50,000, half the endowments, half the family offices, all right, we're going to have to get in. Because the more it goes up in market cap terms, the more meaningful it is. Because it's not just a super spike that goes up and down, like tulip bubble, right? It comes over time a growing adoption. And what it is a growing adoption to a new entire system.
And 5 years is a very short timeline, in my view, for that kind of a gain. What does that world look like?
Bitcoin already is the best performing asset price in all recorded history, right? So nothing has ever performed like this has.
Okay.
So it would be a slowdown of the rate of change of growth to say $1 million in 5 years.
Sure.
So I love this guy's reaction. He's like, yeah, sure, okay. He's blown away. I can see the gears turning, and it's the same type of reaction I had when I first heard about Bitcoin too. Or actually started to really delve into it, really learn about it. I'm like, well, okay, sounds good. And that's what's going to happen with a lot of people and a lot of companies and a lot of institutions, and it's going to keep being a snowball effect, I believe, until it 10x, 50x, 100x's. And then I think it's going to be all those different organizations that are like, wow, this thing just went at 50x, maybe we should get in. That's not the right time to get in. So but it's going to happen. That's called FOMO, and I'm ready for it. The next two sessions are really about the US dollar and cash. And I was debating whether to put these in because I know on this channel, it's mostly cryptocurrency digital assets. That's what people are concerned about. So who cares about the dollar? But you have to understand, everything is interconnected. And it's why we talk about the traditional markets. It's why we talk about the Federal Reserve and how they're, unnaturally inflating the traditional markets right now and what's going to happen in the future. So when he talks about here, about what's going to happen to the US dollar, I think it's an important discussion to have, to realize when people who you are talking to about Bitcoin, when they say, well, the US dollar is always going to be around. This is kind of like, some of the information you can share with them, but like, yes, that's true. but in a diminished fashion. So let's take a listen.
This occurs and Bitcoin ends up, $1 million per Bitcoin in 5 years. What do our lives look like, Raoul? Like what happens to the dollar in that scenario, the US dollar?
US dollar's not going anywhere, but it just has to be used less. Right? I don't want to buy goods from China in dollars. So you're a Canadian, you buy goods from China in US dollars. Why? That doesn't make sense. What would actually be better? Because you've got all the currency fluctuations of a currency neither of you has control over. Right? That's just a pain. We've got this multi-trillion-dollar per day trading market of currencies. It doesn't need to exist, really. So imagine if you could create a basket, a global basket of currencies, which was yuan, yen, Aussie, Canadian, pound, euro, Korean won, and US dollars. So let's say the US dollar now wasn't 70% of that basket, it was 40% of that basket. And you agree that you're going to use the digital currency basket 1. Okay, that is your reference price. Well, great, that makes a huge difference to everybody because the price doesn't go up and down because of currencies. What you're finding is the price of that currency fluctuates from global money supply or fiat currency printing or whatever format of understanding that you have for it. So it's much less volatile. So it stops. That could stop a lot of the cyclical boom busts of emerging markets.
Right.
I like that part. That could stop the cyclical boom busts of emerging markets. So we just get rid of we still have fiat. Fiat is still around, right? But in a diminished capacity. And like you talked about, Bitcoin is the truth, and there's transparency and everything else. And that's along with all of the digital assets and cryptocurrencies that come right after that. So, why wouldn't we use those, as in that basket and that reference point that he's talking about? It makes total sense. So that was why I included it, because I think that it's an important discussion to have moving forward, because people are like, no, the dollar will always be around. Well, no, that's not true. If you take a look at all fiat has all gone to zero throughout, recorded history. US dollar is probably going to be no different at some point. I don't know how long that could take, 100,000 years. I have no idea, but nothing lasts forever. So with that said, there was this interesting part in the very beginning when Raoul talked about his portfolio and he said he had 25% cash. I thought that was very interesting. Why wouldn't he just, put it into investments and things like that and make his money grow? And he said something that's pretty sharp and it's spot on. And he talks about, hey, look, cash is king. And he talks about income. And what I say is, if cash is king, then income is the queen. And you have to look at cash, income, Bitcoin, and gold, and it makes total sense. So take a listen to this.
Another crash coming in 2021. It's almost like we had a practice run in March, and now we can maybe make some adjustments to better prepare ourselves for, what's likely going to occur in the near future.
It depends. If we're talking at a personal level, there's two things I always advise everybody. He who has cash in a recession is king. Because you're the guy who can buy stuff when everybody has to sell it. We talked about, you said, well, if I really have to sell my gold in a crisis, I've got it for that. Well, great, I want to be the guy who buys it off you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? And also having cash gives you a buffer. If you lose your job, if your cash flows are down, you're running a business, you can survive. So that people never value. There's a real weird thing in society that they don't value cash. Capital gains above all things, which is madness. Cash is what smooths out your own personal cycle. And you can't mess around with this because people get really hurt in things that are going on now. And because people have deemed it acceptable, societally acceptable, not to have any cash, to run as much debt. Cash, and the other thing that people massively undervalue, which they won't do soon, and once they understand solvency, is income. Income is crucial. And it's not income promised to you by somebody else. The best income you've got is yourself. How do you generate income? And if you can generate a few sources of income, again, you up your level of security in bad times and up your level of opportunity in good times. So cash plus income. I think are the two best things. Everything else is noise. Now, if you want to bet on the future, depends how old you are. But yes, I like the dynamics of Bitcoin, because that gives you a bet of not equities at all-time high valuations and bonds at all-time low yields and property at all-time high value. I mean, what set of opportunities do you have? None if you're young. So again, it depends where you are in the cycle. If you're older, then you probably want to look at gold and owning more bonds because they look like cash, and you won't lose everything in a credit event where a lot of the most pensioners have corporate credit and equity as their two main risks. Well, in a solvency event, both of those collapse.
And that's it. And it makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, when everything went down in the financial crisis, in the housing bubble crisis of 2008, do you know who made a killing? It was all the people who sat on the sidelines and had money to scoop up houses, apartment complexes, retail industries, and just all these different properties on the massively cheap, because people were so strapped for cash. Not only people, banks were strapped. So if you had cash sitting on the sidelines, I mean, you could pick up massive discounts because people like, we have no money. We have no paper fiat. And those people right now are millionaires and billionaires. So when he talks about cash is king, I know on this channel we don't like to say that, but it's true. Right now, if you have a lot of cash, now righteously over time, 5, 10, 20 years, it will just, decrease in value. But if you're sitting on the sidelines and you're waiting for everything to collapse, and it does collapse, and you time it right, and you're able to put your money in, you make a killing. And that's just how it is. So there's the first part. And the second part to unpack is income. And he's right. When I was going through, and first I was a medic in the Army, and I was going to get out, and I thought, man, if I just had this one source of income, it's not going to be so great. So, then I went into nursing, and then from there I got into the online education platform, and then from there I got into the Amazon industry, where we sell these products as a third-party reseller, and then we got into different types of land and properties. It's when you're not able to do these things and have different streams of revenue, different streams of income, it's a scary time. And that's just really what it comes down to. So with that, I mean, I can just say that is spot on. You have to have multiple streams of revenue because when one gets cut off, if that's your only source, then you're stuck. And if you have more than one, especially if you are investing into cryptocurrencies or doing something with digital assets, then you need to do those types of things just to diversify. So that is it. And I know it was a little bit long, but I mean, it was jam-packed with so much good information. I just had to share it. So let's move on to the next section, which is going to go really quick. Houston, we have a problem. So Coinbase is offering the U.S. federal government new crypto surveillance tools. Fantastic. So the problem that we've had with Coinbase is not just this. It's also there's been different shutdowns and different glitches in Coinbase itself. And over the last 3 months, I think they shut down 4 times. Correct me if I'm wrong in the description section or in the comment section. But it has been so much of an issue. I've actually dedicated a new playlist to it. I have 2 playlists. One of the essentials, and one is Coinbase shutdowns, because I want to track this, because it seems like it happens not all the time, but when there's a huge fluctuation, Coinbase shuts down. People can't get their money out. They can't sell. In March, when it was dropping, massively, you couldn't get in there to sell your Bitcoin. That's a problem. And then I see that as a big problem on the opposite end. If things go up and you can't sell, well, that just negates your whole exit strategy, especially my exit strategy. So we need to look at alternatives. And this is so bad. I even put a post on Twitter. Someone had shared the post that said, "Hey, Coinbase experienced a brief outage on Monday, June 1st. And Coinbase states, while we're able to quickly restore service, here's a deeper look at what went wrong, how we fix it, and blah, blah, blah." It's the same nonsense they said on the last one. And we went over that in one of these 3 videos. I think it was the Joe Rogan one, where we talked about, hey, this is what they said they were going to do. Let's see if they do it. Sure as heck, sure didn't do it. So I said, look, Coinbase, you're like the kid who burns down the house and keeps getting matches. You can't be trusted. I'm pulling all my business out this week. You're an $8 billion company. Be proactive instead of reactive. This happened in March, April, and May, and now June. So it's just ridiculous. And I don't see a point of why this keeps happening. So anyhow, on top of that, here's what else is going on. The behemoth cryptocurrency exchange has initiated procurement deals with the DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, and the IRS for a cryptocurrency investigations tool called Coinbase Analytics, according to publicly available documents. In an emailed statement, Coinbase said its analytics product does not and has never used any internal customer data. They state Coinbase Analytics data is fully sourced from online, publicly available data and does not include any personally identifiable information for anyone, regardless whether or not they use Coinbase. Look, this is the same thing that Facebook fed us, and look what they did. They totally manipulated and sold all of your data, even mine. So when a big company like this is like, no, it's good. There's nothing really to it. We don't use your stuff. I'm like, I don't believe you because I've been fooled before. So that's just what it comes down to. So this is from a DEA notice. They state this is the least expensive tool in the market and has the most features for the money. Read a DEA May notice, so heavily redacted that those features specifics are unclear, but they are unique. As the IRS notice published in April notes, Coinbase Analytics has enhanced law enforcement sensitive capabilities that are not currently found in other tools in the market. So let's take a look at what they're talking about as far as that document. This is what it links to. Software license for Coinbase supplies, notice ID, and sure, original and active date, June 6th. So it's interesting to note that, of course, this is all available to look through. I am not going to look through all these documents. What I'm going to do is, based on what's happening with Coinbase, especially with all these different outages and problems, and now there's something with data. I mean, it could be selling data, it could be not. I don't know. I mean, they say it's not, but can you really trust them? I mean, that's the question. Do you, in the comment section, let me know. Can you trust Coinbase to state the truth and state that yes, this is not happening on our watch. We are not selling data. No problem. You can trust us. Or are you a little leery? Let me know in the comment section. But for me, it's just too many things going on. So I need to find alternatives quickly. And on top of that, it even states here the IRS has recently begun ramping up its activities in the cryptocurrency space, sending tax firms notices last month requesting proposals for auditing support. Fantastic. So here's my final thoughts. We comply with the KYC, know your customer. We comply with the anti-money laundering, AML. We turn a blind eye when the exchange goes down again and again and again. So to me, I can't let this slide. I just can't. So you got your altcoin, you got your Coinbase. I'm just going to call it hashtag altcoinbase. Find an alternative to Coinbase. That's what it's going to come down to. And this is how I've narrowed down my choices. So I'm in the U.S., specifically I'm in Texas. So my options of the U.S. dollar to crypto is limited. I can't, exchange fiat for crypto in a lot of different places. Now in Europe, I've gotten tons of different recommendations, but I can only do so much. That's just how it is. So my choices really are Coinbase, Binance US. I can't use that because I'm in Texas. It is just not allowed in Texas. I think not in New York as well. So I can use, like I said, Coinbase already. Kraken and Gemini I found are the best too. So the one thing I don't like about Kraken is that there's two things actually with Kraken. And one of those is that you can't do ACH, automatic clearinghouse, meaning that you have to pre-fund. You have to do a wire transfer, which is $10 to $25 from your bank, and then it's not automatic. You have to wait 3 to 5 business days. But with an ACH, they do it. It's an automatic. I mean, you'll see the funds debited later, but you can send the funds automatically, and you can buy whatever you want. So Coinbase does that. The Cash App does that, and also Gemini does that. So that's pretty good. But the big thing is, what are the fees? What are the fees themselves, right? So for Gemini, what I did was I took a look at the web fee schedule. So I'm going to link this in the description, but you can see here's the web fee schedule. And to make this simple, I just hate bouncing around. So in the description section of every one of my videos, there's going to be the exchange fees Google spreadsheet. And I've already got Coinbase up there, and because everybody complains about Coinbase's fees. Wow, it's so crazy. How can you pay for Coinbase? It's so hard. You know what? It's pretty much the same thing as Gemini, just a little bit less. And I compared them right here. So if you get less than $10, it's a buck. If you 10 to 25, it's $1.50. 25 to 50, it's $2. 50 to 200, $3. Great. It's the same thing as Coinbase. The difference is that there's a base rate of 4%, and then Gemini has a convenience fee of 0.5%. So anything above $200 is a 1.49%, so 1.5% plus the 0.5. That's just how it's laid out. Now, the base rate for Coinbase, a little bit higher. So yeah, there's fees everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. That's just how it works. That's how exchanges make their money. So people will say, oh, we just do these atomic swaps and blah, blah, blah. Well, sure, but I have to take my money, my fiat, and transfer it over into cryptocurrency in some way, shape, or form. And that requires an exchange. If you have some other type of way that I don't know about, then let me know in the comments section, especially for someone who lives in Texas, United States. But that's what we got right now. So scrolling down, so it's great because that ACH, that automatic clearinghouse, it's free. So you just set it up and off you go. Now, if you can do a wire transfer, those fees are based on your bank. So my bank charges $25 per wire transfer, and yours could be less, could be more. So if you can do a wire transfer, sure, but I would just do the ACH and then off you go. And the big thing for me is there a dollar cost average option? So Coinbase, yes. Cash App, yes. And for Gemini, yes. Unfortunately for Kraken, they do not offer that. So this is what I like, just to set it up and forget it. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Let's jump on my phone. All right, so here we are on the Gemini app. Put in my PIN, press continue, and let's buy a little Bitcoin, shall we? So we'll click on that. And then underneath there, got a little buy button, so we'll click on that. And there's two options here. You got once or recurring. So obviously we're going to click on the recurring because I like the dollar cost average. Set it and forget it. And here you've got your options. To buy Bitcoin, twice monthly. You want to do it bi-weekly, weekly, daily, whatever, weekly. Let's just do weekly, or whatever you want to do. Weekly's good. And then we'll click on confirm. And then you can pick the day, which is pretty nice. So what you want to do, we'll do something. Let's just do today, Saturday. And then we'll pick the time. So let's go for 6 p.m. and confirm. Then we click on continue. And now we're going to see, how much you want to pay for it or how much do you want to buy. So I already put in $50 from my transfer because I didn't know they had ACH. So my buying power is $1,050 now. That's pretty cool. So I can just do it like that. So for this one, why don't we just buy $50? And we'll put $50 in review order. And then let's look at the summary. So the frequency is weekly, every Saturday at 6. Order quantity, we're going to get 4801 because it's $50. So that means it's a $1.99 transaction fee. And that whole thing about the fee, as far as the convenience fee, is 0.5%. I don't see it here. So I don't know. That's what it stated. But right now it's only $2. So hey, I'll take it. And then you can read more into it if you really want to, but I don't. So underneath here, we've got this swipe to confirm. And it's pretty nice. So we're just going to swipe it and blast off, and off we go, and it'll say pretty soon success. And that's it. So right now we're going to invest $50 every week, and again, set it and forget it. I don't have time, and it's good. The only problem I have with this app, I'm on my Apple phone, is that when I press done, it doesn't take me back, so it just freezes. All right, so that's it. So I know it's a little bit longer, but hopefully good information for everybody. So I want to say thanks for sticking with me through the end. I want to say thanks to all my supporters. That really is a big help. So look, underneath on every one of my videos is a little join button. You don't get anything as far as special stuff for a membership. It's not how it works. It's just like a tip, essentially. And we've got level 1s and level 2s. Level 1s, they pay a couple bucks, and I just say, hey, thanks. And I say thanks to all the people who helped me out. I really appreciate it. Level 2, they pay a little more, so I give them a verbal shout out. And it's pretty simple. I say, hey, thanks all right soft, appreciate it. Wen Mullet, myself, who else? Dave Plummer, Straight Talking Guy, Grant Sharman, Bruce Wood, Baking Benjamins. If you don't know Baking Benjamins, they do baking for Tezos, so check them out if you're into Tezos. Noel Flip in Vegas, Martin Lewin, Michael Ralph, William Howell, Crazy Crypto Canuck, what a name. Tessie Ryusaki Positive, Fire Swing Golf. We've got JC Durex, Crypto Veritas, John Miller, The Office, L. Merg, Michael Jeffrey, The Kells Show, Mage Research, Cam, and our two new ones, Terry, Prosperi, and XRP Carolina. Gonna guess he's big into XRP. Just my 2 cents. All right, that's it. So thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you on the next one.